This is Pancake Bay in Ontario, Canada. I'm going to give you a tour of it. It's a very big park, so I did a tour on the bike. I sped it up a little bit, but not crazy so you could see it. I have this habit, I like to give full tours of campgrounds in case anybody wants to go there and check it out themselves. This main section on your right is Highway 17, which is the Trans-Canadian Highway. It's not super busy, but if you're on those campsites on the right, I think you would hear a bit of road noise. And luckily for me, I was not on one of those sites. This is their recycling center, which is really cool. They like to recycle. And these are the empty canisters you can drop off from your propane. And they got to bear-proof the garbage cans. So as I'm editing this, I've been to some other provincial parks here in Canada, and I'm actually pretty impressed at how they do their park systems. They're similar to that in the States, but they tend to give you more space in between, and they just have some neat options that in the States you don't have. This video is, as you can tell, quite long, and it's mainly going to be just a tour of the campground. In an upcoming video, I'll talk more about the specific campground and show some more pictures and stuff like that. This is just kind of to give a layout of this really big park. It's quite impressive. 325 camping spots, but don't quote me. I might have forgotten by now. I was really impressed. This is the shower house. Very nice. It has bathrooms. It has some things that stateside doesn't have. Look, flush toilets and all that good stuff. Showers that were very good. And laundry. Pretty cheap laundry at a campground comes in really handy. I know RVers out there that if you have to stop and do laundry, it can be really expensive. And I took full advantage of the cheap prices at laundries on these provincial parks. Okay, now I'll throw in some music through some of this, and then I'll also talk again when we get to specific parts. You can't hear me talking the whole time. So we're coming up on my campsite. I really liked this campsite. It was a pretty cool place to park Cousin Eddie. What was funny is I was supposed to be in the very next campsite. They gave me a list of ones that were open, and the next one was open. But here they have really late checkout times. So when I pulled in, the people in the spot I was supposed to take looked like they had no intentions of leaving anytime soon. They did make it out in time, So I walked all the way back because I'd forgotten how far it was. It took me quite a bit, and I ended up just keeping the spot that I had left the RV in. Did I mention it's a really, really big campground? Because it is. But a lot of space in between. I was impressed with that. In a lot of stateside campgrounds, you're on top of each other. This wasn't like that. This had some space. But the reason you come here is for Lake Superior. You gotta check it out. And now we'll go down one of the inner loops. Very nice. Here's another one of the inner loops. A lot of these are pull-throughs on the center loop.
This is a picnic area. Here's the non-electric, and there's a lot.
And that's as best I can tell. I'm pretty sure these are all non-electric, but in through the other sections, there seem to be some scattered with electric and non-electric. It can be a little difficult to be sure, because one thing, if you're not used to Canadian provincial parks, bring a long extension cord, preferably a 30 amp if you have one. I don't have one, but the boxes, and I'll show again later, the boxes tend to be a really long way from each campsite because the campsites have so much space. And two sites sharing a post, usually they put the posts like in the middle of the woods to little trails to them. It's really kind of funny. On this site, I was able to just barely make it with my 30 amp cord, but since then I've also have to use the 20 amp cord to make it. So if you have an extension and you're going to Canada, take it with you. But really, it's a small price to pay when you have so much space in each campsite.
Water.
They have at least one rental cabin that I saw here.
It's huge. I think this is the end. Little trail.
Dump station, because all the campsites seem to be just electric at the campsite. There's water spouts throughout the campground, and there are latrines with running water, but pit toilets throughout all over the place, but there's no sewer and water at each campsite. As I alluded to earlier in the video, there's going to be more videos, at least one, on this campground, and I really like the campground. I know some people aren't into campgrounds. If you're not into campgrounds, you're not into campgrounds. But I think the value that you paid for it and the amenities here are pretty good. I would say I was very impressed and would think that these are better than most state-run campgrounds I've seen in the States. Really good facilities and just very nice.
Second shower house and flush toilets.
So we're nearing the end of the video, and some of you might be saying finally, or some of you might have already given up. But I wanted to say for 2 nights, the cost here was 105 Canadian, which this was made it like 52 something a night, but no hidden charges. And when you do the conversion for US, it's about 37 bucks a night, which is pretty fair compared to most state campgrounds and, federal parks and all that good stuff. And I like the no hidden fee stuff. So hope you enjoyed this video. I recommend coming up to Pancake Bay. You'll have a great and wonderful day.